Hey, what's up, guys? I'm here at Indiana Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Academy with Ryan Sellick. And Ryan, how long have you been training here?
I've been training with Indiana Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Academy. Okay, my journey is a little bit weird, but I started in 2010, had to take a couple years off due to a back injury, and about 3 years of that I was moving around a lot on the West Coast, still training consistently, but most of my training's been done here. So I want to say about 8 years maybe.
You said out on the West Coast. Were you living there, or were you?
Yeah, I was moving around a bit. So I was out in Tucson, Arizona, training with the Paragon team out there. And then I moved out to, I was in Seattle for a little bit. I was in Eugene, Oregon, Portland, Oregon, moved back to Tucson, and then I ended up coming back here. So.
When you came back here, what was it that attracted you to James Clearman?
Oh man, so here's the thing about James. When I started with James, I was a little spoiled. I kind of assumed that all instructors were like Coach James, very meticulous in their detail and very, systematic with the way that they teach everything. When I moved out west, I trained at a few places that were not that whatsoever, and I quickly realized, oh, okay, so not all jiu-jitsu instructors are the same. So that's what I would say, is that he's extremely detail-oriented. He's very technical. He's very cerebral, but he's also very systematic in the way that he approaches things. His jiu-jitsu is very holistic. So that's the biggest benefit, I think, of using his online tool. I don't know if he talked to you about it, but BJJ.foundation or BJJfoundation.com. It's a project that him and I worked on together. Really, it's all his jiu-jitsu. I just did the stuff to make it pretty. But the biggest benefit of that is that he teaches his entire foundation curriculum, which that's the biggest benefit of working with Coach James, is that he has a solid foundation. He doesn't have too much about his game that's really a game, like a De La Riva game or an X-Guard game or something like that. He just teaches really good foundation, so it tends to be good for any type of student. That is a resource that I really wish that I had when I started out with BJJfoundation.com. So I have no shame in plugging that, because, dude, if you are a white belt or even a blue belt and you can afford $12 a month, like, there is nothing else out there that can get you that much value with that. So plug.
So what actually got you into jiu-jitsu?
Actually, I was going to the gym and I had no idea what I was doing. I was just one of those guys that just would go on every single machine until I was getting tired. I didn't have a personal trainer or anything. And then I thought it'd be cool to learn kickboxing. I was actually watching a few videos studying the autonomic nervous system, about how when you do things over and over, the muscle memory sort of takes over and everything becomes more efficient with the way that you perform movements. Super nerdy reason for getting into kickboxing. But when I came into James's school, he did a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu intro because I expressed an interest in self-defense. And Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is the best martial art for self-defense. Kickboxing is cool. Everybody should know how to throw a punch and throw a kick, but Jiu-Jitsu is where it's at for self-defense. So ended up, I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, this jiu-jitsu stuff is kind of cool, but still really only here for the kickboxing. Then I would come in for the kickboxing class and then stick around for jiu-jitsu a few times. Then it ended up getting hooked on jiu-jitsu, so I just stuck with that. I still do kickboxing a little bit, but mostly it's about the jiu-jitsu.
So you're a purple belt, right?
Purple belt under James Clearman, yes.
What was your journey like getting a purple belt? What was the hardest rank getting a purple belt?
Blue, for sure. It was blue. The biggest mistake that I made with blue was that I moved around a lot. I thought that it was fine that I was moving around if I stayed consistent with my training. Didn't really matter. I got a lot of good rounds in. I stayed in shape, and I picked up a few tricks from a lot of different places, but I wasn't really sticking with a coach long enough to really develop a system. So, I moved around for 3 years. I came back, and I hadn't really gotten a whole lot better. And honestly, I didn't really start to get better until James and I started filming BJJ Foundation. And literally just filming that, just being his dummy for that took me from being a blue belt to a purple belt. So blue belt was definitely the hardest. White belt was pretty hard too. I just learned really slow. And I had no real athletic background before that. So it was a slow start, but blue belt was tough. And I think it's like that for a lot of people too.
So growing up, did you do any other sports growing up, or is this jiu-jitsu? And
jiu-jitsu was pretty much the first one. I did some sports when I was a little kid. Did some football, basketball, some t-ball and stuff like that. I lost interest when I was 12, and I didn't really do anything athletic during my teen years and my early 20s, and at about 23, that's when I got into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and kickboxing. And gosh, I wish I got into it earlier.
Okay, and on the mats, what are you known for? Like, what is your technique that everybody's like, oh, watch out for Ryan, and you know he's going to do this? Or
well, you can't probably tell from the video, but I'm 6'5". So once I got to the point where my jiu-jitsu started getting pretty good and like I started moving pretty well, now everybody notices that I'm really tall. So people complain that I'm tall, but mainly with me it's triangles. I'm big on triangles. I catch bigger guys a lot with triangles because they don't expect to get triangled from a guy like me. So, triangles.
Okay, and what if you could tell anyone that was on the verge of joining jiu-jitsu or you know just wanting to try it out, what would you tell them?
Jiu-jitsu is the #1 martial art for self-defense. There's not anything else close. So if somebody asks me what's one martial art that I want to train for, that I should train for self-defense, it's absolutely jiu-jitsu. You can train other stuff too, but if you want to learn self-defense, it's absolutely jiu-jitsu. If you're on the fence about Brazilian jiu-jitsu, I would also say that it tends to have a ripple effect. You might start jiu-jitsu for any number of reasons. You might be interested for self-defense, or maybe you just want to get in a little better shape. Maybe you just want to join a community of people that don't suck. Any one of those reasons are valid, but it has a ripple effect. It's not only do you get all of those things, but you literally are routinely in a room full of people who have one thing in common, they're there to get better. So everybody is in the same room, they're there to improve themselves, and that's a really powerful thing. Like, most people don't get that at home, most people don't get it at school, at work, or anything. You might have a few friends that are like that, but an entire room full of people, you have people from all different kind of ideologies and backgrounds and religious whatever, and they're all here just trying to get better at jiu-jitsu and doing it together. But then once you start getting into it, once you start getting kind of hooked on jiu-jitsu, you start wanting to make other positive choices in your life. You want to start eating better. You want to start getting better sleep. You want to start drinking enough water, getting vitamins. It just motivates you to make good decisions. For me, the big one was smoking. When I started jiu-jitsu, I was just 6 months out of quitting smoking, and about a month into jiu-jitsu, I had absolutely no desire to put any tobacco smoke in my body. Like, it literally just made me want to be healthier. So that's what I would say. That's what I tell a lot of the beginner students that come here, is that it has that ripple effect. It has just this positive effect that just radiates out into your life. So
Awesome. Hey, well, thank you very much for your time, Ryan. I appreciate you.
Thank you.